Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 2019 football season. Exciting times, obviously, for all of us, and it is absolutely terrific to see everybody this morning here on a beautiful Monday of game week. Fired up about our four captains. I really think that these four guys represent what's great about our program. Patty getting his second opportunity to be in the leadership role, and Trey Williams. Both guys, I think, have had great training camps. Trey with a great career, played multiple positions for us, not only on defense but also in the kicking game, and done a terrific job. And then offensively, Bennett and Jared, two guys that I think, again, throughout their entire career have just gotten more and more into a leadership role. And I'm excited for those guys to lead us here in the 2019 campaign. It's exciting to go back to the Bay Area. Last time we were there, we had great fan support when we took on Cal, and I'm anticipating having that same type of fan support that we had the last time we were out there. And it's kind of unique, I guess, back-to-back trips to California. Obviously the Holiday Bowl and now going out in the opener, so kind of a unique deal for the squad. But guys have really worked hard. They've had a great training camp, and now as we transition fully into a game week, look forward to watching the way we prepare and getting to know this team a little bit more as we go, really through our first experience with this group collectively. So with that, how about some questions that I can answer, please?
Coach, how do you think the program has changed since that 2015 game with Stanford? What do you think are the biggest things that you kind of just look back and say it's a little bit different now?
Well, I think there's a lot that changes, right? We have personnel changes, we have coaching changes, on the field success changes. Now 36 wins since we played that year, and 3 bowl wins, Big Ten West championship. A lot of things, a lot of positive. Hopefully, a lot of consistency. Hopefully, you look at our program now as one that's kind of growing into that, becoming consistent contender for championships every year. It was one thing to become a consistent winner and a consistent bowl team. Now it's hopefully that next step.
Hey, Fitz, can you take stuff from that 2015 game, that defensive performance, and apply it to this, or is it just a different world?
Got different personnel, obviously great personnel, but you'll look at tape. I think you way overanalyze the opener. You look at everything. You look at that game. You look at similar defenses, the way they approached similar offenses, the way they've approached it defensively. The opener in the bowl game, I've got to do a great job making sure we don't do too much and overloading our guys mentally. So that's a big task for me this week.
How do you feel about the position of quarterback right now?
Great. I told the squad this morning, I thought that the whole room had a great camp. I thought the group collectively really worked hard the whole offseason. I thought all the guys did the best job that they possibly could. And I feel really great about the group. I think they've been terrific teammates. I think they've done everything in their power to improve and get better. And, I think we have multiple guys that we can win with and win a championship with. So look forward to watching, this thing progress and move forward from there.
One other from me on that topic, at least for now. Are you a guy who is more likely to say, here's a starter and you're our guy? Or if it's really, really close, are you somebody who says, maybe we'll get a look at both of them?
Yeah, maybe.
Coach, the game's on the West Coast, but it's a 3 o'clock Central Standard Time game, and the forecast is projected to be nice. Is there anything about going to California that's you have to prepare differently, or is it the same old?
Well, we'll have to, play in the afternoon, which we practice in the mornings. That's a change. So talking to guys about their sleep patterns this week will be something that we do, and making sure that we stretch on the plane. We got a routine once we land and get to the hotel. Kind of what we do is what we call our Friday routine. So we'll go through that. But just a little bit longer plane flight. A little bit like going to Rutgers last year. Just a little bit longer. We'll just enact the plans that we have. If it was a night game, it would be different. We had the Cal game that kicked off. I think it was after 10 o'clock on our bodies. We had to really adjust our preseason camp for that. This year, obviously, kicking off 1 o'clock local, 3 o'clock in our bodies, really no need to make any dramatic changes in training camp.
Hey, Coach, Stanford, Costello in the offense. What do you see from them, and do they remind you of anybody from the Big Ten in their scheme?
Well, he's a great player. You know, he reminds me watching him of what we had to get prepared for by playing Jones at Duke the last couple of years. You know, I thought Jones going into the last few years was one of the best quarterbacks we were going to see all year. And, you know, hence he gets was he the first quarterback off the board or pretty close to it, you know, or second, I guess. So, you know, I feel the same way when I watch KJ on tape. I think he's a guy with a high ceiling. You know, he has all kinds of Stanford passing records, and there's been a handful of pretty good quarterbacks that have played there. So, you know, he's just next in line of the great Stanford quarterbacks. He's really efficient. He does a great job spreading the ball out to all of his weapons. And, you know, I know they've recruited really well at wide receiver. They've got an outstanding tight end. You know, I think that offensive line sounds like they're all now healthy. So, and then who they compare, you know, to us that we see in the Big Ten. You know, a lot of West Coast principles, so to speak, in that offense. And so all the teams that we see West Coast styles of, you know, I mean, Wisconsin's got a little bit of it in it. Michigan's had it in it. Michigan State's had principles. I mean, everybody's got it. We have it. But, you know, Coach Shaw has done a terrific job since he's been there, and that offense has been one of the most difficult to stop out west, you know, in his tenure. So it's been really impressive.
Fitz, is there any spot on this team, any position or aspect of it that you feel especially confident about heading into the season that you think might be a strength?
As far as our squad? Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the depth that we probably have collectively as a team is the best that we've had starting the season. You know, starting in the backfield, I really feel like that group has really worked hard, and I think we've got some pretty solid competitive depth. You know, wide receiver, I feel the same way. I don't know if we've had as deep of a quarterback room as guys that are competent and capable of running our offense, maybe in my time. And then up front, I think we've really learned, you know, a new set of fundamentals and technique from Coach Anderson, and we've added a lot of, I think, guys that are feeling confident and maybe more confident they have in their career. Defensively, I think we've got a solid group up front. I think that group's going to just continue to have to just age a little bit. We've got some youth in that group, and they've just got to get hardened a little bit as they get ready for games like Stanford and then into Big Ten play pretty quickly in week 3. And then our back 7, I think, is pretty athletic and pretty deep and pretty talented. So I feel pretty solid about the whole group. It's great to get Charlie back kicking. I mean, that was a big loss last year for us, and we found a way to make it work. It wasn't pretty all the time, but we found a way to make it work. And so I think we've got pretty good, solid competitive depth across the squad.
What's going on with your punter? I see Daniel Kubiak is listed as the starter. He's a guy who's been here a long time and hasn't got a lot of playing time. What's going on with that?
Yeah, he's starting. I'm fired up for Coobs. Yeah, he's been here a long time, like you said, and he's had to battle through some injuries. A couple of years ago, we expected him to be our starting punter, and unfortunately got hurt. So he missed multiple years, and he's had a great camp, and he gets the opportunity to do it first.
Did you have to get a 60-year waiver or something for him?
60th year? Yeah, he's been here forever. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, so all worked out. Yeah. I think it's pretty easy when you miss 2 years because of the same injury. So that's what he went through.
At the end of spring, you talked about starting with a clean slate, of course, that the only thing you carry over is the wisdom you accrued during the experience of winning a championship. What specific wisdom was carried over, and how has that been applied to this year's team?
Well, the way you prepare. You know, you look back at probably the first, I don't know, month or so, 5 weeks of last year's team. I thought we really prepared well. I thought it showed in the opener against Purdue. And then we took a little bit of a step sideways for a couple of weeks in our preparation. We didn't quite, I think, get to the point where we were capable of. And I think the team finally woke up, you know, going into the Michigan week. And I think it showed. I know we didn't win, but I thought we played much cleaner and better than we did the previous couple weeks. And the credit goes to the players. I mean, we had obviously worked our tails off to emphasize it, but they're the ones that have to do it, and they did it. And I think that then just progressed from that week on. I thought the guys really prepared well. So I think that's the wisdom that'll carry on, especially for some of our older guys that saw that dip a little bit, and you just got to be relentless in that. And I thought there was a little bit of a lapse in that last year early in the season.
And also, just 5 minutes ago, you said you're getting to know this team a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about it, and what don't you know, and are curious to find out?
Yeah, I mean, I like it in 72 degrees and as much adversity as I can create in practice, but you learn a lot about your squad in the opener because that's the first time really as a 74 guys, how we handle it. How do we handle everything that happens in game? I pulled up a lot of the stats from the Florida-Miami game for the team meeting today, and what a great lesson learned from watching a game. The whole team watches that game, and you see 14 penalties on one side and 11 sacks, and the other penalties on the other side, and the choices and the decisions that were made. It's a challenge of college football. You got to prepare your team. You got to harden it. You got to put them in position to be prepared for the opener to the best of your ability. Well, this other thing called keep them healthy. So, you watch the NFL right now, and if I were an NFL coach, I would not have one of my starters in a preseason game. I see no value in that. And you see all these guys getting hurt. And, especially in college football, every game matters. There's no, hey, we'll find a way to get to the playoffs in November. Every game counts. And so I think we've put together a really good training camp schedule. And we adjusted it a couple of years ago. We come out as healthy as we ever have, and I think in as good a shape as we've ever been. So how do we take that then, and then deal with the adversity? So that's what I'm looking to learn.
You don't have any true freshmen on the two deep, but are there guys you would expect to play this week or down the road? And have you identified guys that you might try to get 4 games here or there for them as you did with some guys last year?
Yeah, I really like the class a lot, Dave. I think it's one of the best we've ever recruited top to bottom. I feel great about the class. I think go back to what I just said about the health of our team as we sit here right now. The good news is we come out of camp in a really good spot. Are there guys that I expect to play 4 games? I would hope the entire class we could get 4 games of. When and how, we're going to be much better this year at it than we were a year ago. I thought we were good at it last year as a staff. I think we've got to be great at it this year as we move forward now that we've gone through that one full cycle of having those 4 game opportunities. So I like the group a lot, though.
A few random ones for me. Did you do anything this fall camp to try to better your chances of leaving fall camp with good health, or was that more fortune?
Yeah, 2 years ago, we made a pretty major shift in how we went through training camp, where we kind of looked at not to be too sophisticated, but really a micro aspect of camp, looking at each week and then taking it down to each day, and how we wanted to maximize the week and how we wanted to make sure we brought the guys along from a volume standpoint properly. Number one, to keep obviously the overall health of the team at a high level, but also to try to really minimize the soft tissue issues that seem to spike at certain times in training camp. So, this was kind of year 2 of going through that cycle. I thought we executed it really well. I thought the guys executed it really well. When we went to some more run-through type practices on in our routine, I thought the focus was better this year. The tempo was better. The understanding on how we wanted to do that was better because it was our second time going through it. And so I really felt like we had a really productive camp from that standpoint. And the end goal is to hopefully come out of camp, calloused, hardened, ready to go, in great physical condition, operating at a high execution level, in all 3 phases, and then be mentally fresh, physically fresh, and then start to dial up the emotion as you get closer and closer to game week.
What's your reaction to Andrew Luck's decision? And was he ever on campus? I know you.
Yeah, Andrew was. I actually sent his dad a text to express, our thoughts. Actually, I was at home, and the 3 boys and I were watching it, and I'm not going to embarrass my sons, but one of them said, "That takes a lot of courage to do what he just did, Dad." And I said, "Yeah, it sure does, bud. You're at the top of your game." We recruited Andrew. We have the utmost respect for the Luck family, and I've been on different committees with Oliver when he was with West Virginia and then with the NCAA, and so know the family very, very well. I think I was going to the rental car return when he called me. Andrew did and told me he was going to Stanford when I was on vacation with my family. So, yeah, I think I know the family pretty well. And, you know, our game is something that we play. It's not who we are. And that's something I talk to our players about all the time. And the game is unbelievably giving. It gives you so many opportunities. It teaches you so many life lessons. And it also can just take your heart from you. And it's a very challenging game. And, you know, to see the way he handled the post-game press conference, I think talks to about who he is as a person, who he is as a man, and ultimately who he is as a competitor and as a player. And someone that, you know, I had to make a decision. You know, I remember back when I got cut and I went and tried out for another team. You know, obviously I didn't play till I was 29 and go to 4 Pro Bowls. But, you know, at every point, every athlete's got to make a decision what's best for them and for their future. And I remember coming back after being in New Orleans, after working out for the Saints, and I'd made the decision I was done playing. And that was a tough pill to swallow. And we all have to retire before we want to in this game. And he had a great run and a great career and an amazing legacy. And my hope is more important than anything, that the courage that he demonstrated over the weekend is inspiring to all those that come after him that play. I mean, you got to be healthy. You got to be healthy mentally. You've got to be emotionally able to do it. Otherwise, you're deteriorating your play, your body, and quite frankly, taken away from the team. And I thought he said that very eloquently on Sunday night. And I think that takes a very strong person to be able to do that. And I think that shows a commitment to himself, and I think it shows a commitment to his family. I think it's really inspiring.
Any recollection from when he visited, and did you ever think that you had a good chance to get
Yeah, I thought we were right in the mix. Yeah, absolutely. I thought we were in the mix, and, you know, he made a great decision to go to a great school, so he had a great career.
I know you're thinking Stanford, but just to peek back to 2018 for 1 second. Like 20 years from now, those guys come back for a reunion. What are a couple moments or plays that you will think back that will immediately come to mind from last season?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't really thought too much about that. Bennett's catch in Iowa City, that's pretty big. That one for sure. You know, I think senior night, you know, when we, you know, won 4 straight against our rivals, and those true seniors walk out, you know, winning 4 straight, and then, you know, we had to have the celebration at my house afterwards. That was pretty special to see all the families. And, you know, for me and the staff and everyone that touches the program, you know, graduation is the pinnacle, and that'll stick out, especially for a lot of the families that, you know, this was a game changer for our guys that were seniors. You know, obviously the entire experience of going to Indianapolis, it was first class in every way. And that you know, to have our students support us the way that they did was absolutely phenomenal. That we feel very fortunate to have that, and can't wait to see them here in a couple weeks. That was unbelievable. And then the way the guys responded in the second half against, you know, against an unbelievable Utah team. And that celebration there on New Year's Eve in San Diego was something that, you know, those are certain memories I don't think you forget, to name a few.
Coach, kudos on your comments on Andrew Luck. My question was one of your 4 captains and Ben Skoranek. Tell us a little about his growth and his maturity since he played quite a bit as a freshman.
Yeah, well, he's had a terrific career. I mean, you look at a guy that's done so many things for us, right? He's early on a role player, special teams player, to now going back to that amazing play that he made and the explosive plays that he's made throughout his entire career. He's obsessed with football. I mean, it's everything. It's everything to him. He's from an amazing family, and he does everything in his power to make himself the best player he possibly can be. And I think it speaks to his evolution as a leader to have his teammates elect him captain. Just really proud of the way he's grown and developed, and look forward to him hopefully having the time of his life and just a great senior campaign.
Pat, is there anybody you can identify that made a huge jump this summer and fall, particularly, that's maybe surprised you?
Dan Kubiak. Yeah, I mean, really. I mean, a guy that 2 years ago we thought was going to be our starting punter, battled through injury for 2 straight years, and to come out and number one, execute, improve, and take over a role that we had hoped he would take over. We obviously had a great job by Jake last year, and so now to have Koob step up and be, I think, in position of where he's at, I think you'd ask maybe anybody in our program, they might say another position, but for me, I think the way that Danny's stepped up to this point, now let's go play, but I think he's done a terrific job.
Charlie Mangieri getting to start at Superback.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen from him this camp? And Trey Pugh also not on the two deep. How is he doing health-wise?
Great. Trey's doing great. Progressing every day. And Charlie's been fantastic since he's gotten here. Guy, again, that first phase in the weight room finally, and you look at his body and he's completely changed. Again, great football family. His uncles played here, and I played with his directly next to his uncle Danny and on the Rose Bowl team, and was him and Eddie were two great players for us. So a rich Northwestern tradition in that family. And, I think a guy that can do it all. He's really good at the point of attack, a guy that, we can move around and do different things with. And he's got really easy hands and runs great routes. So just a young guy that's continuing to grow, and he's earned the opportunity, and look forward to watching him play.
I wanted to ask you about a couple of local guys, and I think there were some position switches. I could be wrong, but Charlie Schmidt to offense, Wyatt Blake to defense. Was that a switch this year, or is that?
No, Charlie's always been a no. No, he's doing great. He's doing terrific. Yeah, Wyatt moved over to defense here early in camp. As I look at the big picture of what we need for the year, I would categorize him as a big picture guy. He's a big man, and as we started to project depth going in here to the first month of the season, it looked like he was going to potentially be in a role that might not see a lot of playing time on the offense. And, I felt like we had a need to make sure we solidify the belly of our defense and have a big man in there. And we moved him over, and right away he embraced the move. Is it a permanent move? I don't know. We'll see how things progress. But, again, very unselfish, a guy that said, Coach, I want to play. And I said, great, here's a role to get you on the field, and let's go. And he's embraced it every day.
And then Cameron Ruiz is the guy who played some at the end of last year, not on the two deep today. What's up with him? He's
working hard to get in the two deep. Doing a good job. Competitive depth. It's good stuff. Really like it as a coach. It's a heck of a motivator.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, great. Thanks. Let's enjoy the magic carpet ride, huh? All right, go Cats.